It's good news for theater fans that after 8 years of sitting vacant, Springfield's Legacy Theater is once again the home of musical reviews and stage plays. The theater opened in 1951 and for decades served as a top draw for fans of live theater. But since its recent reopening, there are a number of reports that the theater is a home to more than live entertainers. Increasingly in the back rooms and backstage, there are reports of paranormal activity. No one really knows what's behind the odd happenings here, but some think the spirit of a past performer now haunts the Legacy Theater.
There was a gentleman that used to be an actor here in the 1950s that committed suicide, not on the site, but at another location. A lot of the folks that frequent the theater center or even work here believe that his spirit is one of the spirits that roam the building here.
And during one production, which I believe was called Mr. Barry's Etchings, Mr. Neville chose to end his life. And as the legend goes, because he did not get to go on for that production, he still resides at the theater.
Legacy Theater owner Scott Richardson says since the theater reopened, he's not seen a ghost, but has had some very odd things happen.
Shortly after we purchased the building, I'll say maybe 2 weeks later, I had a meeting with a group of landscape designers here to look at the courtyard, and sent them on their way and came back into the building, which I'd been in a dozen times over the 2 weeks, and I came into the auditorium to see if any lights were still on, and as I glanced around, my gaze fell upon a piece of rolled up paper under the last row of seats in the back of the auditorium. Now that wasn't there before. I know that. It was not there. And so I reached down and picked it up, and it was the original landscape plan from the building from 1967, I believe it was.
Others talk of hearing approaching footsteps on stairwells that are then empty when they go to see who's there. These reports are what drew paranormal researchers Larry Wilson and Chris Mason to begin investigating the Legacy Theater. Together they have nearly 20 years' experience investigating paranormal activity around the Midwest. And they've come across some hauntings that frightened even these experienced investigators.
We were setting our equipment up, and I had only brought a video camera that night and a tripod, and I already had my equipment set up. So I was facing the group as they were setting their equipment up, and all of a sudden it was like I knew there was something watching me, but we were surrounded sort of by, there's a timber around the cemetery. And I felt like I was being watched, so I kind of started looking around at eye level, didn't see anything, and still kind of chatting with the group. And it just got like overwhelming. So finally I turned around, looked behind me, and my eyes, my eyes went down, kneeling down on the ground was what looked like, it was dressed like you would see a monk. It had a brown robe on, hooded robe. It was kneeled down, but where the face was, it was completely smeared, and it was like a gray smear, like someone took finger paint and just smeared out the face, looked directly at me, and I yelled a choice word, and then look, and yelled a choice word again. And when I yelled, this thing, it took off, but it didn't walk like you've seen ghosts in the movies will take off walking, or it didn't exactly float, but it just kind of took off like you would see a witch in a cartoon. It just kind of glided, and it maybe went 8–10 feet and just dissipated.
In an investigation in Vandalia, Chris Mason had an experience that nearly made him quit ghost hunting forever, when the apparitions of 2 children literally passed through him.
We were in Vandalia on an investigation at a local business there, and we were on the 2nd floor. A picture was taken, and in the camera flash, a few of the other investigators saw 2 little kids in this room. I was the one that happened to take the picture. I was standing in a doorway. Apparently these little kids were looking at me, and they decided to run. Well, they ran through me, and I could feel them go through me. I got cold chills, and after that happened, I blacked out for about 5 minutes, apparently started crying, saying odd things to the other investigators, just strange things. And this went on not only there, but went on for about 2 weeks at my house. I would just be driving down the road and start crying. I actually had to have a psychic come in and help me. The little boy somehow attached to me and stayed with me. And she had to cleanse me in the house and everything. But that was a scary, yeah, but it was more emotional than anything. I didn't expect that to happen, but it did. And it's real, I'm telling you. It was just a startling event that I could feel his emotions for a few weeks, and he was pretty sad young man. I don't know why they were there. I don't know how that happened, but it did. I don't even like to talk about that much, honestly, but we have the proof of it, so.
But these veteran paranormal investigators say seeing apparitions is not the norm. They say when investigating alleged haunted locations, like the Legacy Theater, they commonly attempt to record spirit voices on digital recorders. Another tool to capture ghostly voices is nicknamed the Spirit Box, which moves rapidly across radio frequencies, allowing investigators to sometimes get immediate audio responses to their questions.
The Spirit Box, I wanted to ask something that was kind of a future type thing, but we could verify quickly. So I said, can you tell us where the next major earthquake will be? And I mean, immediately Ecuador came through. Next morning, I Googled the National Geological Survey. I asked that question about 1:05 a.m. Central Time. 1:31 Central Time, Ecuador had a 4.8 earthquake.
That's crazy.
Which was the next largest earthquake for several hours after that. So
the Spirit Box, I mean,
And what is picked up on the Spirit Box?
it's just, they believe it manipulates the radio frequencies to speak. White noise comes through, it scans the frequencies, they come through on different frequencies. I wouldn't have thought that thing works, but I'm 100% convinced.
I turned it on at my house one day. I was sitting there doing paperwork at my desk, and I thought this is probably a dumb idea to turn this on at my house, but I did. And as soon as I hit that button, I sat it down and I hear a female go, "Hi!" And I'm like, oh, geez. And then I waited like 30 more seconds and I hear, "Hello!" And then I hear, "Hi!" again. I'm like, that's it. And I shut it off.
Is that anything really talking to you, or is it just some despondent voice?
We think that they know we're trying to hear them, and eventually they find you. I think they know people like us are out there trying to communicate, or at least trying to record voices, and they know where to come, and it's just hard to believe, but it happens. I mean, you shouldn't get any clear voices coming through.
Just a question, do you feel it getting colder in here?
Yeah.
I do too.
But it could
the temperature's
be too.
dropping, I feel colder.
Joe, are the stories true? The reason that you committed suicide? Did you take money from work? Or did you believe you had no way to defend yourself and were completely innocent? If there are spirits here other than Joe, can you tell us your name or names?
On this night, the Legacy Theater's ghostly actors failed to take the stage. But on Halloween night 2011, the investigators had a remarkable interaction that they say proves the theater is haunted.
Last year, we had some video equipment set up, and there's a security light in the basement. It's one of the motion censored lights, and we couldn't get the light to go off all night. It only has 3 settings on it. It has on, off, or a automatic setting. No matter what we did that night, we couldn't get the light to go off. So we're conducting an EVP session, and I just happened to say, if there are any spirits here, can you help us out? I said, I have a camera set up, and the light here is interfering with our recording. Can you turn the light off? And I no sooner than got the word off out of my mouth, and the light went out just right on command. And Chris Mason, who's one of our investigators, was standing near the light, so I asked Chris, did you turn the light off or bump the light? And he, kind of excitedly says, I didn't touch it. Well, a few moments later, just to test it, I said, well, can you please turn the light back on for us? And again, it was like almost right on command. It went immediately back on. Testing it again, asked it if it could turn the light back out again. It did. We're kind of looking at each other, talking, because it's dark. We're standing in the middle of the dark. And anyhow, one more time, I said, well, can you turn the light on one more time just to show us that this is that this is really a spirit, communicating with us. Well, the light went on, but it went on and off as fast as you could possibly turn a switch on and off. But the unique thing about this light is there's really no switch to it. There's a slide on it where you have to slide it to one of the settings. But this light went on and off for at least a good 45 seconds. We were starting to panic a little bit, saying, okay, you can turn it off now. But it was almost like something was saying, I can turn this on and off all night long, but what's the point? But we were starting, like I said, panic a little bit because it was kind of a unique situation. I've never seen that happen before.
But owner Scott Richardson wants the Legacy's Theater to be about great entertainment, not ghosts. Still, he says, he doesn't mind sharing the theater with spirits as long as they behave themselves.
We call them our non-physical friends, and we believe that there are more than one. And our attitude is that everybody who comes here with love and light is welcome to stay. So we just have a deal: don't scare us and don't mess with us.